Alright, so this schmuck is going to start working. I'm going to break his ass up. So what happened last night? He didn't want to work. He didn't want to give me a fourth land till about turn 4 or 5 after Cube had already set up and was going. So dickhead here, he didn't want to come out and play. The deck didn't want to give me what I needed. Like I said, didn't want to give me a 5th mana source until fucking turn 4 or 5. So let's take a look at where I went wrong with the deck and see how I can prove it. Yeah, to be okay. So some of you are going to say it could be your shuffle that happens. Well, yes, it could be my shuffle that happens. But if I build the deck correctly, it shouldn't happen like that. It shouldn't. So what I'm going to do is make 2 piles, one of stuff that worked and one of stuff that is suspect. That not necessarily isn't working, but maybe is not helping the deck, and I should take out and favor something that will directly help my strategy. Like I said, the deck has 38 lands, something like 3 mana rocks, 4 mana rocks probably, 3 or 4 find land cards, and that shit just didn't want to come up. Yeah, I got Glittering Stockpile out one game, and that worked out pretty good. Still didn't win, but helped out a bit. Alright, so let's get to it. So Savage Lands. Comes into play tap, gives me 3 colors, that's fine. Reliquary Tower. Yeah, I kind of want that. Korvald Knight. He would have been really good against Cube's Tyrannids because he puts creatures on his goddamn... He puts creatures on his counters. All of his counters have creatures on them. So if I have Korvald Knight out, counters my opponent's control with creatures on them cannot attack or block. So he couldn't attack or block with his counters that had, you know, +4/+4 creatures on it, +6/+6 creatures. He couldn't do that. So this card is a niche card. Against certain decks, it's hilarious, it's phenomenal. Against other decks, it's just, if they're not, my opponents are not putting creatures on their counters, he doesn't really do anything. So let's put him in the maybe pile. Let's make the maybe pile more visible. Yeah, this is, I got this about 10 years ago as a joke. Look at that. This is my hand. This is the size of the cup. Right? Here I don't have a banana for scale, but here's a magic card for scale. It's a big ass cup. It's probably a liter. Anyway, let's get back to the video. It's got a British flag on it. Britain's in deep trouble. Britain's in serious shit. I mean, when you've got the Americans with all the shit they're doing, telling you your country's fucked up, you done fucked up. Bloodstained Mire, yeah, it does what it does. County Garden comes into play. Tap, but still it comes into play and makes a salad for Korvald to eat, so that should stay. This guy I never saw, didn't come out. He's a 6 mana 3/3, but he should work pretty good to the deck. The deck is all about attacking multiple combat steps. So as long as he survives this one, X tokens in play, the copies. Oh my fucking god, is that... Oh shit, is that how it works? Okay. Okay, listen. Nikata Warpride. 3 triple green for a 3/3 cat warrior. He must be blocked by exactly one creature available. Whenever the Warpride attacks, but X tokens play tapped and attacking that are copies of the Warpride. So they will have this ability. They're copies of this fucking card. So, and you remove the tokens from the game. They don't sacrifice them. That would be way too cool. It's like the new Korvald was coming 10 years after this card was printed, so they didn't say sacrifice the tokens at the end of the turn. So that means I was thinking this is the only one that would trigger when I attack. So if I attack and some of them survive, it doesn't have to be this one card. It doesn't have to be this that survives. If any Nikata Warprides survive, if I trigger aggravated assault, and I get another combat step, then the ones that survive double themselves. Because each one will trigger, each one will put X tokens into play tapped and attacking that are copies of Niketa War Pride, with less number of creatures defending player controls. So let me think this through. So if I attack and somebody has 10 creatures, I attack with the War Pride and some other bullshit. It doesn't matter. Korvald, Knight, and Korvald, they attack. The War Prides, so I will get 9 copies of War Pride with that number of, put X tokens into play, tapped and attacking the X's number. I will get 10 tokens. So I will get 10 tokens. I really hope I'm reading this correctly because I'm really excited about this now. So I get 10 tokens, and I've still got the War Pride and Korvald Knight and Korvald are attacking. Let's say half of those tokens die, because all the Niketa War Prides have to be blocked by exactly 1 creature if able. If I trigger aggravated assault and I tap everything and I go back into combat, those 5 remaining Niketa War Prides, and let's say my opponent, he still has 4 creatures and I have 5 War Prides. Each one of them will trigger, making 5 times 4. I will have 20 War Prides attacking. Wow. Well, I hope it works like that. So that stays. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Wow. Okay. It comes into play. Finds the forest. Comes in. It works. So for spring, it works. Creekwood Liege. He makes my other dudes bigger, except for the red dudes. I don't have that many mono red dudes. And if he survives, I get tokens. So he works. I mean, it's incremental advantage. He gives me small advantage, +1/+1 to probably half to, say, 80% of the creatures I have on the board. So that can be good. Better keep that. World Shaper. Okay, this is part of a combo, and I'm not sure if I need the combo. So this and Zernorb. I'll set this aside. I'll explain it when I get to Zernorb. This guy, Anzac the Quake Mole. Okay, he's an 8/4 for 4 mana. Just that by itself, I don't like the fact that it costs so much to trigger him. But still, if I'm attacking with an 8/4, and let's say Xenagos, God of Revels is out, and I double him to a 16/8, yeah, my opponent is probably going to block him. So, better keep this guy because he's cheap. Arcane Signet, Mana Rock. I had a problem getting mana, so I need to keep the rocks. Destroy target artifact enchantment. I need a way of dealing with artifact. That Helm of the Host wrecked me. I'll post that video later. So last night was Thursday. Last night I went to the pub. None of the other lads could come. It's one of those periods in the cycle where the genie is focusing on other things. He's got to get stuff done for himself and his family, so he's got family business. Long Pete's mother came for a visit, so he has to be with his mother, which is, I mean, she came pretty far to see him. So, fair enough. That happens. Yuji, I think he had schoolwork, so he couldn't come. So it's Cube and I. Cube and I are kind of the core. At least one night a week, my wife appreciates it when I get away from her and we can spend time without being in the same house together, because both of us work from home more often than not, and it creates tension. And she's always babbling about submarine disease. Well, that's what the Czechs call it. On the submarine, we never called it that. We just called it, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm tired of you." You know, a bit more direct. So, Cube and I were playing, And he got Helm of the Host with Hazel Token Squirrel deck. So I will post one of those videos later. That was last night, Thursday. Today is Friday. Work is done. I closed my notebook, so I'm making this video to go through Korva and figure out where I went wrong. Probably still making it too control-ish. I need to make it more aggressive. But I still need answers. So this is an answer that works in the deck. I can get back. So I better keep that. And actually it did work last night specifically. Tower defense. I want some instant protection. I do believe I have a heroic intervention in the deck. Pretty damn sure I've got one. So that and this tower defense are pretty much my two pieces of instant protection, other than having sneak attack and dropping a big creature, you know, dropping this guy and getting him killed and giving our creature. Yeah, there's the heroic intervention. So here's my 2 points of instant protection. Heroic intervention, which it works, it's great, it does what it does. And tower defense. Now I could put in Rapid Vigor. Rapid Vigor costs 1 in the green. All your creatures regenerate. So it's maybe I want Rapid Vigor too. Maybe I want all 3 of these. I want Heroic Intervention, Tower Defense, Rapid Vigor. Tower Defense, I'll put it in the maybe pile, but it or Rapid Vigor will go in. I want at least 2 pieces of instant protection to keep my board from getting wiped. So Tower Defense, 1 in the green, instantly give your creatures +0, +5. They all gain 5 toughness and gain reach. So if somebody does something like Starstorm for 4, okay, are you locked in? Yeah, 4 should be enough. All right, Tower Defense, fuck off. You know, that sort of thing. So put that there and think about it. This guy, Zeotor, he was working pretty damn good. He was one of the few things that was working last night. Trample, whenever he deals combat damage to player, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you can throw it into play. If it's a spell, if the CMC is equal to or less than the damage he actually dealt, and at one point I had Doubt Embrace, so I was giving him Shadow and hitting for 5, so any card, if it's a land, it came into play for free. If the card had mana value 5 or less, it came into play for free. So he was pretty goddamn cool for 4 mana. 1 black, green, red, 5/4 trample. I liked him. I don't even remember what Blitz does. I'm guessing what Blitz does is I pay the cost. He comes into play with haste, and then he bounces back to my hand at end turn. Some shit like that. I don't know. They didn't fucking explain it. So screw them. Stupid wizards. Bassus Collar, yeah. That would. I can't believe I didn't think about it. I had Mayhem Devil out, and I had Bassus Collar. And it took me 2 turns to realize, oh, I should equip the Mayhem Devil that does a point of damage to anything if somebody sacrifices anything with the Bassus Collar that gives it Death Touch and Light. Oh, wow, I should do that. It took me 2 turns. Because I just was so frustrated and so pissed off at the deck and trying to think it through. So I did put that on Mayhem Devil. And it's kind of funny because Cube, he forgot about it too. And he played, I'm pretty sure that's when he played Helm of the Host. He played Helm of the Host. I'm looking at his mana. I'm like, how did you cast that? You don't have... Did you sacrifice treasures? Yeah, I sacrificed 2 treasures. Oh, okay. So Mayhem Devil is going to kill this and that. And he's like, oh yeah. Fuck. Fortress of Volrath. Volrath Stronghold. Put the creature from a graveyard back in play. On top, well, back on top of my library, not into play. 1 under black, tap. Return target creature. Take target creature out of your graveyard and throw it on top of your library. And be happy. Burgeoning. Okay, this would have worked. He's playing that fucking... That was another deck, so never mind. But I don't think I got this in play. I think that was the problem. The thing is, I want this because if Korvald is drawing me cards, some of them are going to be lands, and I can only play 1 land per turn, unless I get exploration out, or I've got loot over here. I think I might put him in. So if I can only play 1 land per turn, it's nice to be able to, on the cycle of the other 3 opponents, if they play land, for me to get more land out of my hand. So burgeoning stays. Ravenous squirrel. So I need some small creatures. I need some way of drawing cards in addition to Korvald. I'm not sure if this is it. I mean, I had it in play, and it did a little bit, but it wasn't really impressive. It wasn't really that exciting. So I'm not sure if this is what I need. So let's set that to the side. O Naginata. So O Naginata 1, equip 2, can only be attached to a creature of 3 or more power. But the equipped creature gets +3/+0 and trample. So I give it to Korvald. It will be a minimum. He will be a minimum of 8, 5, flying trample. Now when he attacks, he's going up to 9, 6, because okay, he comes into play as a 5/5. You have to sacrifice something. Although, to be fair, it doesn't say what happens if you don't. If he comes into play and you've got nothing else to sacrifice, let's say you've got nothing. What do? He doesn't say, or sacrifice Korvald. He sacrificed another permanent. Well, what if I've got nothing to feed you? What if my cupboard is empty, man? I ain't got my welfare check. My cupboard's empty. I'm broke. So what do you do then? So anyway, in a realistic, an actual scenario, he comes into play. He has to eat something. He's a 5/5. You give him this. He is now an 8/5. And then when you attack, you have to sacrifice something else. And if, as long as it's not the Naginata, he will then be natively a 6/6, meaning he will be a 9/6 trample. So for that reason, and then all the other creatures I have, because like last night, he kept getting blocked by stupid geese, by 0-2 fucking geese. I couldn't get through. But if I give him trample, then I can get through. Okay, expedition map. This goes and finds some bullshit land. That really helps. Nature's will. Do I want this, Bear Umbra, or both? Now, I played this and Cube immediately destroyed it before I can get a trigger off of it. You know, that kind of shit happens. I've done it to people too. They play something, I'm like, no, fuck that! Beast within! Screw that noise! So that's what Cube did to me, so I didn't get the trigger. It still should work pretty good. It lets me play more things with Korvald. So I attack. Also, it's part of the Aggravated Assault combo. If a creature connects, and I tap all my lands, then I can pay for another activation Aggravated Assault. Now the question is, do I want to put Bear Umbra in this deck also? And then the thing is, the tension that I'm having right now, the problem I'm having with the deck, is I've got some cute cards in there that are just for fun. Blazing Effigy is a poster boy for this. And I need more martial cards. I need to advance my game plan. But I still enjoy playing some of that cute bullshit, some of those fun cards. So it's a matter of, okay, how aggressive do I want to be? How much do I want to feed into the given strategy? Versus how much do I want to indulge myself with fun bullshit? Treasure Vault. Sacrifice Treasure Vault, create X treasure tokens. Yeah, that can be really good with the Crucible, which maybe I don't need it. I don't know. Okay, land. I'm not taking out any basic land. Basic land is pretty good. Glittering Stockpile. This worked out pretty good, but again, because I had never played it before, I kept forgetting on my turn to tap it. We don't have mana burn. For those of you that only started playing recently, up until about, what, 12 years ago? Maybe? Around 12 years ago? If you generated 8 mana, and you only spent 5, at the end of the phase, you took 3 points of damage. You took burn. Every bit of mana that you do not spend, you get burned for at the end of the phase. So it keeps people, and they took it away because they say it adds to the complexity of the game. Oh, fuck you! Look at all the bullshit you're putting in the game, adding to the complexity of my ass. You motherfuckers are the reason for all this stupid complexity. Now you have to keep track of fucking exhausting and running your engines and running your mouth and all that bullshit. Fuck that. So, because they don't have mana burn anymore, I can just tap this for if I've got no reason, I can just tap it with no penalty whatsoever, which feels wrong to me, and just keep putting counters on it. I think mana burn should come back. So things like this, if I tap it for no good goddamn reason, I'll take a point of damage. If I tap it and I spend the mana, okay, fair enough. But if I'm just tapping it to put counters on it, that feels, it doesn't feel right with the card. It doesn't feel honest. It doesn't feel fair. But anyway, that's what I was doing on Cube's turn, because we don't have mana burn. I kept tapping it. But on my turn, I would forget to use it because I wanted to be able to sacrifice it if he tried to destroy it. And now I can say that I was doing it intentionally, so if he went to go destroy it, I could sacrifice it to get the mana, but I didn't have anything to spend it on, and I had already explained that I was just being stupid and forgetting about it. But anyway, let's keep that, because that worked. That worked out pretty good. That's what allowed me to play Nature's Will, Doubt the Embrace, and have 2 black mana remaining to give... I think it was Zeotor's Envoy, Shadow with Doubt the Embrace. So that worked. Land. I'm not sure if she's... I need to go faster with this deck. I need to go faster. So, she's kind of slow. Yeah, if I don't put the creature into play, it comes back to my hand. So every turn she can bring back a creature from a graveyard to my hand. Is that what I want to do, though? Is she worth the slot? So let's put her in the maybe pile. Land. Jorel. She was working really good. So she just starts feeding Korva. She's in play. When I attack with Korva, I get a kitty cat. Because I sacrifice something and I draw a card. So she's, hey, you drew 2 cards. Have another kitty cat. So next turn, Korva eats that kitty cat, attacks, draws a card, and I get a kitty cat to replace the first one. So if nothing else, at a certain point, there's equilibrium between the cats, Korva, and Jorel in the drawing cards. So it just gives him tokens, which sometimes that's what I need to keep in the game. Urborg Coffers, those are always good. Urbrask the Hidden. I do need to give my creatures haste. I've got Sarkin Volan here. There's really, I mean, he's good in the deck. So slows down my opponents, gives my creatures haste. This guy, so this guy in Anzac to Quake Mole. Beginning combat, give Anzac haste and +X in turn, where X is Anzac's power. So +8. 16, 12. Bang! Eat that bitch. So Xenagos is good in this deck. Blood Crypt. I had this guy in here mainly to trigger the Nature's Lore. I'm not sure if he's worth the slot. I don't have any swords of this and that. The equipment I have is Reaver Cleaver, which gives something trample, so it's going to do damage if it's big enough, or if it's flying. And Bassus Collar. If I had Sword of this and that, this guy would be better, but I don't. So as much as I like him, as much as I like this card because it's old frame foil with a real world quote, he will go in the maybe. Savage Ventmaw. Oh, this is kind of key to the deck. So if I don't have Nature's Will, but I've got Savage Ventmaw, when it attacks, it gives me the mana trigger Aggravated Assault, so I can keep attacking. I can keep smashing face. That is the key to Korvald, is keep beating the shit out of people. Okay, so I do have more equipment, but who cares? I mean, if I attack everybody with a 2/2 Shadow, even if I have Zolpandrel, 4/4 Shadow, but then if I get another attack, it would be an 8/8 Shadow, and if I get another 6... But see, that's if everything works together, and that's kind of being too cute. So let's set him to the side. And I've got Douthing Embrace, so I can give anything Shadow as long as it doesn't get destroyed. So this is kind of nice. This is good because if I say equip it to Kokusho, and I attack and I get 3 other Kokushos, well, 3 of them will die, but I drain my opponents for 20. And I'll gain that much life. Collectively, I'll drain them for 20. 5 from each opponent. No, I'll drain them for 20 each. And I would gain 100... I would gain 80 life. No, 60. 3 opponents, 20 life each. Okay. 4 Kokushos. Each one kills the other 3. Each one says, drain your opponents for 5 life each. So each Kokusho is draining 3 players for 5 life. So 15 life times 3 is 45 per player. 45 life per player because I would have 4 Kokushos. I'm getting the math wrong. It's 20. It's not 15. Why the fuck did I say 15? Because I'm trying to think it through, and I'm trying to imagine the attack at the same time, and I'm trying to imagine the possibility of it actually happening in order to justify this card. So, attack the Kokusho. There's 4 of them. 5 life, 20 per. 3 opponents. Each one loses 20 life. No. Yes, each one loses 20 life. Because 4 times 5 is 20. And then there's 4 of them. 4 times 20 is 80. I gain 80 life. Why the hell was I thinking 45 life? I was thinking of making more. I was thinking of other shit that doesn't happen. So anyway, let's take that out. Let's set that to the side. Blade of Cells, so 2. And the equip is 4. And it just gives a creature myriad. So whenever I attack, I can create a copy attacking everybody else too. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I should leave that in. I'll find out in a minute. Okay, Reaver Cleaver. So 2 in red, equip 3. Equip creature gets +1/+1, trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. So if it tramples over, let's say I attack with a 6/6, and I get blocked by a 4/4. The 2 that trample over, I would get treasure for. So that's still something I could feed to Korvald. Solemn Simulacrum. He just works 4 for 2/2. This guy, I mean, I looked it up. I've got 9 of them across my decks. So almost half my decks have a Solemn Simulacrum. When he comes to play, go find a basic land, put it in play tapped, then shuffle. When he dies, draw a card. Yeah, he's just good. And then Glitz the Trader. She was working. She was keeping me afloat for a little while because I would attack with her and Korva. Korva would eat one of my artifacts, Q would block. She would kill the creature, and then I would get the artifact back. He let me do that for about 2 or 3 turns, and then he realized it's better just take 3 points of damage. Swamp. Is there an orb? Okay, here's the combo. I've got Zoran Orb and World Shaper, and I don't know if I should bother. Zoran Orb, sacrifice land, you gain 2 life. World Shaper, when he attacks, and we put the top 3 cards of the library in the graveyard, you don't have to, but when he dies, put a land card from the graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Idea is, I eat all my lands, I gain a bunch of life, Korvald attacks, and then he eats the World Shaper. So let's say I have 10 lands. I gain 20 life. He gets 10 +1/+1 encounters. I draw 10 cards. And this bastard, Korvald attacks and eats him, and I get all those lands back into play tapped. So, it's a cute little trick. I don't know if it's too cute. If I shouldn't take them out to advance my game plan, but let's keep going. We're almost done. Turn a Witness, yeah, it comes into play, regrowth, return a card, any card from your graveyard or hand. It doesn't have to be permanent, it just, whatever the hell you want. For 1 green, and she's a 2/1 human shaman. They're taking Shaman out. So those idiots at Wizards, for some reason, are saying Shaman is racist, or ageist, or something. Maybe it's because Shaman. Maybe they're just stupid. I know they're retarded, but now they're just being stupid. Fucking Wizards. Crucible of Worlds. 3, you may play lands from graveyard. Now this is probably too cute for this deck. So my idea with this is I can always replay my fetch lands, so I can cycle through, get my lands out faster. I could Ghost Quarter, Bojuka Bog, so I could eat the Bojuka Bog with the Zoran Orb, bring it back to Crucible when I want to, not just because I need a land, but when I want to exile somebody's graveyard. But he's not really doing that much for the lands. So I probably don't need Crucible of World. It's probably too cute for this deck. Too control-ish. Bone Shredder. This is good in this deck. 2 and a black for a 1/1 flying Phyrexian minion. When it comes into play, it terrorizes something. Destroy non-artifact, non-black creature with Echo. So at the beginning of my upkeep, I have to sacrifice it. Or pay the Echo. If Korvald's in play, I'm going to sacrifice it. Fuck it. And then I have to dig it out of the graveyard somehow. Cuvette de la Yavimaya. So taps 1 colorless or green, tap, regenerate target creature. Yeah, Overgrown Tomb. Death denied. I imagine creatures are going to die. And I imagine some of them are going to be my creatures. And I imagine somebody is going to look at my graveyard and knowing how I normally play black is going to think I'm going to do something dirty to rip all my creatures to the graveyard and smash people in the face with them. So I disappoint them. So if somebody goes to Bojuka Bog me, about the time I think it might start happening, I will make sure I have at least 4 mana open, 2 of a black, as much as possible. So that way I can at least save 2 creatures from being exiled from a graveyard. Or, if it's an auspicious time to do so, end of the turn of the opponent preceding me, death denied, black, black, X. Let's see, I've got the 2 mana I was talking about. Bring 2 creatures back from a graveyard to my hand so I can recast them. Or, because it's an instant, if I have more mana and I have sneak attack out, I can raise dead and then sneak them into play. Of course, I have no way of getting this back. Maybe I should put a Shadun, the One-Eyed, in this deck. I don't think I have another one, though. I think both my copies are employed. Sark and Vol. Chibi. So 2 green-red, 4 loyalty, Planeswalker. +1 creature control, get +1/+1 haste until end of turn. That's key. So I've got 2 ways of giving all my creatures haste. -2, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap the creature. it either gets fed to Korva or it does something. However I decide to work it. So he has proven his value in this kind of deck. Maybe I should rethink it though, but giving all my creatures +1/+1 haste. So that would mean those Nikata War Prides would be 4/4, which are more impressive. You know, an army of 4/4s and 3/3s. There's a land. So Pendril, the Hunger Dominus. 4 green for a 4/6 legendary Phyrexian Horror. So when this horror comes into play, he can reach up and grab somebody. At the beginning of every combat, each one. So if I get additional combats, I am doubling the power and toughness of all my creatures again and again. He is one of the key cards in the deck. He is one of the reasons I built it this way. He's one of the things I'm hoping to get working. Savage Maw, Aggravated Assault, Zopandrel, bang, 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 massive attacks. That's the idea. And Nature's Will to... Well, no, I don't need Nature's Will. Savage Ventmaw, when she attacks, she will give me the mana to trigger Aggravated Assault. In every combat I get, I will double the power and toughness of each creature. So I'll just keep smashing into my opponents, breaking down their fucking defenses until that purple train crushes the brown tunnel and runs through, winning me the game. I don't know how many of you got that reference. Mountain, Dragon Skull Summit, comes to play tap. Let's have a swamp or a mountain. Defense of the Heart. So this has to sit for a turn. So it has to sit there for a turn. Everybody gets to look at it. And the more often I play something like this, the more often people can think about, do we really want to let this trigger? There's 3 of us. Can any of us stop this from triggering? So maybe I want to put in Green Sun Zenith instead of Defense of the Heart, or Worldly Tutor. But then again, I'm just getting one creature, or Survival of the Fittest. Maybe I want to put Survival of the Fittest in here. I'm not sure. I do know this has worked out really effectively. Let's put it in the maybe pile, and we'll take a look at my creatures. 2-card combos that I don't really have any hardcore 2-card combos in this deck. Although there's, you know, some nice ways to play. Okay, Deathrite Shaman, 1 black-green hybrid, 1/2 elf shaman, which they're not going to do anymore. So the next Deathrite will be, I guess, Deathrite Doctor. He will be a creature elf doctor. Exile, tap, exile target land from so he can give me mana. I can exile an instant or sorcery card from graveyard to have every opponent lose 2 life, or I can exile a creature from graveyard and gain 2 life myself. He can come down early. He can start, if my opponents are, and people, you know, even the cheapest deck has Evolving Wilds. So sometimes he will make extra mana for me. Sometimes he will rip something out of somebody's graveyard that I don't want to deal with or can't deal with, that they're planning to bring back. So for the cost, I'm going to keep him in, but overall, I'm not sure how he advances my strategy, which is what I'm trying to focus on. Farrakhan's Mender, when she comes to play, return target creature or enchantment from graveyard to hand. She doesn't really advance the strategy. It's a protection. It's a recovery card. She helps me recover. So, for example, somebody destroys my Aggravated Assault, I can get it back with her. Plus, if I have Creekwood Liege, she'll be a 6/5, which is, that's respectable. So, but I've got Eternal Witness. She's like a duplicate Eternal Witness. I could put in Sword of Light and Shadow. If I put in Sword of Light and Shadow, so it costs 3 to cast, 2 to equip, it gives the equipped creature protection from black and white, +2/+2, and whenever it connects with another player, I get to raise dead and gain 3 life. So that would be raise dead, but I really should, with all the enchantments this deck has, I really should keep 2 ways of getting enchantments back. Egbert Assault, there it is. 2 red to cast, 3 red to activate. Untap all creatures you control, whether or not they attacked. No matter why you tap them, untap them. After this phase, you get an additional combat, followed by an additional main, which you can trigger this again, because you can only trigger this as a sorcerer. You can only trigger this during your main phase. So if Nature's Will is out there, and one creature keeps getting through, then I can keep untapping and keep attacking. And that's the idea of this. That's where I want to be with this deck. I want to be in a position where I'm like, gah, 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 until my opponents say, I'm dead. Damn right you are. Now for the next guy, because I get more attacks. Gah, gah, gah. I'm dead too. All right, player number 4. Would you like to concede, or would you like to get smashed in the face by these creatures that are now 10,000 because of Zopendril and all the attacks I've gotten through? Okay, fine, fuck you, shuffle up, let's play the next game. Dictate of Erebos. Now, 3 black, flashing enchantment. When a creature control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. I'm not expecting to be sacrificing that many creatures. Not really. If I'm sacrificing 1 per turn, then it's really swingy. The guy that's playing a token deck, he doesn't really care because he's making a bunch of tokens. The guy playing a normal baseline commander deck, where he's playing 2 or 3 creatures a turn past turn 4 or 5, he'll be annoyed if he has to sacrifice a creature every turn, but it's not really going to be game breaking for him. And I've got 2 creatures that should wipe the board anyway, so let's set aside Dictate of Erebos. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe this is clinging to the past, thinking of the way the deck worked before, which it doesn't work that way anymore. Llanowar Waste, Command Tower, Exploration. I can play an additional land each turn. Yes, I set that in the maybe pile because loot should go in here. If I put loot in here, I feel I can take out Exploration. Yes, this is ideal if I get a turn 1 and I've got a couple lands in my hand, but getting it turn 1 is like getting Soul Ring. It will happen sometimes, but it won't happen that often. So it's best to consider it coming out, normal turn 3, 4, that sort of thing. Then to think about the Christmas land possibility. This guy, 2 black, 2 green hybrid, 1/1. He gets +1/+1 for every creature in my graveyard. X black green tap, sack another creature, go find a creature card, a CMC XLS, put into play, then shuffle only as a sorcery. Not sure if I want this guy or if I want some other search card, like Worldly Tutor that I just mentioned. Mountain, Assassin's Trophy, highly effective, destroy target permanent opponent controls, and they can go find a basic land. Sometimes it's a fair trade, sometimes it's not. Elder Gargaroth! Okay, this son of a bitch. 3 green for a 5 mana for a 6/6 Vigilance Retrample. Whenever he attacks or blocks, either create a beast, gain 3 life, or draw a card. So this is pretty goddamn good. Doesn't really fit the theme of the deck other than efficient creatures beating the shit out of people, which I need to put more efficient creatures beating the shit out of people. Speaking of efficient creatures beating the shit out of people, so he has Intimidate. If somebody isn't playing any black creatures, artifact creatures, he's going to punch them in the head. He's going to go fuck them up. Plus he buffs my team, all the non-humans, and gives them Undying, which can be good. So World Shaper would come back. Korvald would come back with a +1/+1 counter on it. Attempt of Discovery. Yep, I love that card. Cast it, and then watch your opponents argue amongst themselves over who's going to take up the offer, who's not. So typically for 3 and a green, the lowest I ever get is 2 lands. But usually that's your board, 2 Yawgmoth, Cabal Coffer, so there we go. Quite often, I get the full 4, because once the other 3 lads stop arguing, you know, the first guy's like, I'm going to get a land, I don't care what you assholes say, I need the land, I'm behind. Okay, there's my second one. And then the middle dude's like, well, if he's going to get a land, fuck it, I'll get another land too. If Tony gets 3 bullshit lands, how much more worse is that than 2? He's going to get Cabal Coffers and Urborg anyway, so how much worse can it be? And then the fourth guy, depending on how long he's been playing, his position in the game, vis-a-vis my position in the game, he's either going to say, fuck it, I'll get a land too, or he's going to say, no, Tony having 2 bullshit lands or 4, that's a huge difference, and I'm not going to feed into it. All depends on the game. Douthing Embrace. So this card is cute. This card... Now, I was giving Zeotor's Envoy the Embrace, giving it Shadow, because I wasn't able to do anything else. Is it better to have this card that typically I will only have the mana to give 1 or 2 creature Shadow to get them through? Is it better to have this or to have another threat? I forget who it was. There was a pro player years ago, around the time of Kibler, Finkel, Kai Buddha. One of these guys, right? One of their peers, one of the guys I named, they said, you can never have too many threats. You can have too many answers, but you can never have too many threats. Which is true, because if you keep playing threat after threat after threat, eventually your opponents will run out of answers. Well, do I want this, or do I want another threat? So let's put this in the maybe pile. Mountain. I drew her, but it died before I got to play her. 2 black, green, red for a 7/4. Has to be blocked every turn of Fable. As long as it's my turn, she's indestructible. Whenever she deals damage to a creature, attacking or blocking, if the creature is dealt excess damage this way, that creature's controller sacks a non-creature 9-land permanent. So that means they have to sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, planeswalker. None of the lads I play with play those stupid battles rooms. The Cube has that fucking Duskborn precon of those stupid rooms. So he'd have to sacrifice one. They have to sacrifice something like that. So she's pretty good. Land. I'm not really doing anything with tokens. Don't have Coat of Arms. Don't have Eldrazi Monument. Don't have any of that. This guy just kind of feeds Korva. But he costs 4. 4 black for a 2, 4 and a black, 5 mana for a 2/2 human wizard. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create X 1/1 black throw creature tokens with that spell's mana value. If I'm not really doing anything, yeah, there's a possibility that I have Zopandrel out and I attack with them and I get another attack. So they would be 2/2, then they would be 4/4. That could happen. But wouldn't this guy be better? Goldspan Dragon? And sure, if I've got Creekwood Liege, Endrixar is going to be a 3/3. But if I have Goldspan Dragon, 3 red, whenever he attacks or becomes target spell, I get a treasure token. Treasures I control, tap, sacrifices, artifact, add 2 mana of any color. And he has haste. He's a 4/4 hasty flyer. This guy's just some chump on the ground. And when he dies, Mikaeus is not going to bring him back because he's human. But if I have Goldspan Dragon, granted I don't have that many ways of making treasure tokens, but this is feeding into the I should be attacking. This is just feeding Korva. So I'm going to put this in the maybe, and this is one of the cards I'm thinking of, Goldspan Dragon. So let's take a moment. So I'm thinking of putting in Goldspan Dragon, Dawn Treader Elk, 1 and a green for a 2/2 elk, spend 1 green, sacrifice it, go find a basic land, put it into play tapped, and shelve. It's a secure tribe elder that has 1 more power and toughness and has an activation cost. Other than that, it's just secure tribe elder. Crossing Grip, because I realize I need more answers. So 2 and a green, split second, destroy target artifact chant. That's something I'm thinking of putting in.
Hello.
Hello! Loot is almost assuredly going in. 2 and a green for a 1/4. Play an additional land on each of my turns. 4 green, tap. Look at the top 6 cards in my library. I control everybody a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands I control and put on the battlefield, then the rest go on the bottom. So he's just fun. He lets me play mortal lands. He will let me cheat some creatures into play. So in a way, he should replace either that Fiend Artisan, or Exploration. That's what I'm thinking. And then Genesis. I forgot about Genesis. I haven't been playing with him for a while because he's been obsoleted by power creep. But in this deck, so 4 and a green for 4/4 Incarnation. Beginning of my upkeep, if he's in my graveyard, you may pay 2 and a green. If you do, return target creature card from graveyard to your hand. The thing is, I used to play him in decks with, I had him in Edric for a long time. And the only way to reliably get him in the graveyard was to have survival of the fittest. Well, with Korva, Korva attacking is a pretty reliable way of getting this guy in the graveyard. So I'm thinking of him. Anyway, let's finish up so I can think about what I'm actually going to take out. Kagamaru, first to Safa. 3 black, power and toughness equal to the number of cards in my hand. Sacrifice him. All creatures get neg X till in turn, where that's the number of cards in my hand. So the idea is, Korva, when he comes to play, is going to be a 5/5. When he attacks, he'll be a 6/6. So Kagamaru, typically, I'll have 4 or 5 cards in my hand. So when I trigger him, it'll be just under Korva's power and toughness. So yeah, I might lose my other creatures, but not Korva. So I'll still have something on the board. And he would have helped me a lot, except Cube played Bastion of Remembrance right before I could play Kagamaru. Meaning, if I triggered Kagamaru, I would die because of the Bastion. Okay, Stomping Ground. Grave Titan! 4 black for a 6/6 Death Touchy Giant. Comes player attacks, I get 2 zombies to feed to Korva. So if he feels like eating something a bit aged, there we go. But I mean, 6/6 Death Toucher, that's not bad. I'm sure there are better creatures. I'm sure there are more efficient creatures. But he serves double duty. He is a decent creature, decent body for the mana cost. He's got relevant ability, and he can feed Korva. Blazing Effigy. I don't want to take this guy out, but I probably should. I mean, he's just funny. Look at him. Look at that effigy. So 1 in a red, 0/3. When he dies, I get to deal 3 damage to another creature. If it dealt 3 damage to another effigy, of which Blazing Effigy is the only effigy in the game, unless there's some obscure shit that I don't know about, which is possible. So this basically can only lightning bolt a creature, but it can lightning bolt it, it can kill it. Is that worth this a lot? I don't really want to put it in this pile, but to be honest, that is the most logical thing to do. But I won't get rid of it. I like that card a lot. I like my Legends cards. I like that it's goofy, so I'll see after this exercise what actually stays. Crippler's Forest. Okay, I've got Burgeoning, so I've got Thawing Glaciers. They just go together. For those of you new to the channel, burgeoning and thawing glaciers are perfect for each other. So, any turn, you tap thawing glaciers, you go find a basic land, it comes to play tapped, and then at the end of the turn you have to bounce the glaciers back to your hand. If you've got burgeoning out, if one of your opponents is nice enough to play a land, you can play the thawing glaciers after they play the land, and on your turn it will untap, so you can keep going. High market, sack creature, feed Korva. Well, he gets bigger because he sacrificed something, gained 1 life. Soul Ring, Inferno Titan. This is the reason I put that Bassus collar in there. But that Mayhem Double, that works out pretty goddamn good too. So I've got the Black Titan, Red Titan, Green Titan is still banned. I expect him to be unbanned the next, before too long. So Wizards can start reprinting them and selling them. Just put them in bracket 4. They're a game changer. Primeval Titan is a game changer. Go to town. 4 red, 6/6, fire breathing giant. Comes to play, I get 3 points of damage. Divided any way I choose among any number of 1, 2, or 3 creatures or players. And if he's got Death Touch because of the collar, he's killing 3 creatures. Chromatic Lantern. 3 land control of at 1 mana of anything. Yep. Chromatic Lantern, everybody knows what that does. Sneak attack. This is kind of key in the deck. This is something I really want to get out, really want to play with. 3 and a red, enchantment. 1 red, you may throw a creature from your hand into play, and it has haste, sack it at the beginning of the next end step. Another way to get Genesis down. Secure Tribeller, sacrifice him, go find a basic land card, put it in play tap, and then shuffle. I'm going to go a bit faster because the battery's going to die. Mountain, Havoc Demon. 5 black for a 5/5 flyer. When he dies, all creatures get -5 until end. So just like Kagomaro, if Korvald is over 5, I mean -5, that wipes out a lot of creatures. Wipes them out. Dead. So if I clear the board for the most part, but I've still got Korva, then I'm not in a bad way. Woodland Cemetery. Kokusho, there it is. So let's do the math again. If I've got 4 of these, and they all die, each opponent loses 5 life per. So each opponent loses 20 life. I gain life equal to the life loss this way. Done. 5/5 flyer for 6. Rupon Crag, Pachika Bog, Mayhem Devil. Okay, this guy, kind of a holdover from the sacrifice deck. That was boring. But he works here and he's funny. So he stays. 1 black-red, 3/3 Devil. Whenever a player sacrifices permanent, deals 1 damage to target. If you've got him equipped with the Bassus collar, he's a happy bastard. Swamp. Burnished Heart. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe I should put Armillary Sphere, because Armillary Sphere is cheaper to use, to cast, cheaper to activate, but it's not a creature. I've got ways of returning creatures, so 3 to activate, 2/2. It's 2/2 elk. This Burnished Heart, if you're listening and not watching. So 3 to cast for this 2/2 robot elk. What do you want, Max? Yeah. Sacrifice it. Go find 2 basic land cards, put them on play, taps, and shuffle. And now I'm going to have to go through and figure out what's coming out. Alright, let's finish this up. So, in between the end of the previous part of the video and this one, which I'm going to splice together, so it's going to be one continuous piece, probably an hour and a half at this point, I pulled some other cards out of my collection that I thought might be, I should consider. So of course there's Genesis, 4 and a green, 4/4, beginning your upkeep. If he's in your graveyard, you can pay 2 and a green. If you do, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. With Korvald, of course, getting Genesis to the graveyard is pretty easy. I play him, Korvald eats him, and there he goes. Looty booty. So, play an additional land on each of my turns. Maybe he should replace Exploration. Still thinking about that. 2 and a green for a 1/4. Noble Beast. He's so cute, though. I know Magic Historian hates them, but I think he's cute. I like him. 4 green, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You can show off a creature card of mana value E less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them and put it onto the battlefield. And the rest go down the bottom in random order. Corrosive Grip, it's just a naturalize with split second. Dawn Treader Elk, it's just Secure Tribe Elder, where I spend another green, and it's a little bit more powerful and a little bit tougher. Now, here's some of the new cards I pulled out. Well, not new. Ones I didn't show previously. So, Jugan the Rising Star. 3 triple green for a 5/5 Flying Dragon Spirit. When he dies, I can distribute 5 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures. So, what I can do is sacrifice him and distribute counters, or I can just beat in the air for 5. I'm still thinking about whether or not that's a good inclusion. Garruk Unleashed. 2 green, up to 1 target creature gets +3/+3 and trample till end of turn. So he would be a 9/9 trampler when he attacks for the first time if Garruk is in play and can activate, which is pretty brutal. 2, create a 3/3 green beast creature token for Korvald to eat. Then if an opponent still has more creatures than you after doing this, give them a loyalty. Neg 7. You get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step. You can go find a creature card, put it in the battlefield, and shuffle. All in all, I think Garruk Unleash is a solid consideration. I pulled this out, and then I was looking at the actual deck, and I don't think it's going to be that useful. So, 4 mana, 2 green, sorcery. Sack a green creature. Go through your library for another green creature and put it into play. Then shuffle. This should work, but the thing is, if I don't have a green creature I want to sacrifice, meaning I've got something that I want to beat people with, or is doing something for me. Now, if I had the kitty cat or the worm token from the Creekwood Liege, that's different. But I don't think I'm going to use this because the reliability of having a green creature to sacrifice that I'm willing to sacrifice at any given time is not 100%. So, maybe, but probably not. Defiler of Vigor. 5 for a 6/6 Trampler. Hey, that's kind of what the deck wants to do. As an additional cost to cast green spells, permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. They cost green, so basically it turns all the green mana symbols on all my permanent spells to Phyrexian. So I can either pay green or 2 life. Whenever you cast a green permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on every creature. This is a strong consideration. Okay, there's that Rapid Vigor. 1 into green, instantly regenerate every creature you control. So this is good against any board wipe that doesn't give the creatures neg X, or exile them, or any of that shit, which is only about half of them these days. So I still see a number of lads in my group playing things like Starstorm or Blasphemous Act. I don't see Wrath of God that often anymore. I don't see Day of Judgment that often anymore. I see things that make, everybody pick one creature and sacrifice the rest. So this does nothing about that. It also doesn't give the creatures reach. So I might play it, I might not. Blessed Sprite. Target player shuffles their graveyard into the library. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. The reason I pulled this out is if I'm discarding a lot of cards, sacrificing a lot of things, my graveyard is getting really tasty. People are hungering to get a Buchuka Bog to use against me. This can stop that and can also fog for a turn. So, thinking about that, of course, I don't want to be too controlish. I want to be beat down. I want to be the beatdown. Bear Umbra, 2 green for this enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has, whenever this creature attacks, untap all your lands. And if the creature would die, instead destroy this enchantment. I've got Farrakhan's Mender in there, so she can help get this back. This will help untap my lands and save a creature. So this is looking like a very strong idea, something I really need to consider. Of course, this pile is bigger than the pile of possible excisions, so not all of it is going to go in. Harrow, 2 green, instantly sacrifice a land. Go through your library for 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield. Untapped, then shuffle. So I sacrifice a land which feeds him, and I trade 1 land for 2 at instant speed. So, thinking about it, speaking of thinking about it, how about Zariel, Archduke of Avernus, 2 red for 4 loyalty planeswalker, +1 creature control, get +1/+0 in haste until end turn. That's kind of what I want to do, that feeds into it. Or for nothing, I can create a 1/1 red devil creature token when it dies, deals 1 damage to any target. So with her, the thing is, in the deck, especially if I take out Endrixar, I don't have that many token generators. I need shit to feed to Korva. He's hungry. He needs to eat. He's not going to attack unless I feed him something. So during my first main, if I create a devil, and he eats the devil, then I get to do a damage to something. He gets bigger and I get a card. So on all it's a win. And this neg6. You get an emblem with, at the end of the first combat phase in your turn, untap target creature control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. So she would give me a second attack without me having to invest any mana. But it's only untapping 1 creature and only 1 more combat phase, which could be enough. I mean, if Korva is big enough and he's got trample, well, fuck. I mean, he could kill somebody. Captivating Crew, 3 in a red, 4/3, human pirate. For 3 in a red, at sorcery speed, I gain control of target creature an opponent controls until Korva eats it. Yeah, it gains haste and shit, but I can steal one of my opponent's creatures and feed it to Korva. So, not a token generator, but somebody that can feed my dragon. Now for some possible new tricks. 2 green, Wild Ricochet. Green is red. Wild Ricochet is 2 red. It's 4 mana. It is a 4 mana red instant. That's not green. Belay my last. You may choose new targets for target instant or sorcery spell. They copy the spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. For this, I'm really thinking about that black-green card that Cube loves to play, where he chooses he can destroy a land, a creature, enchantment, artifact. He can destroy like 4 things. So if I ricochet it, and that's just one example. I mean, there's a lot of other uses for this card. But if he plays that, I can choose new targets for his spell, and then copy it. And I can choose new targets for the copy. So, double fuck you. Dual Caster Mage. 1 double red for a 2/2 flashy human wizard. When he comes to play, copy target instant or sorcery spells. You may choose new target for the copy. It's going to be one, if these go in, it's going to be one or the other. Putting both in, I'm getting too much back into control. I'm getting too far away from the beatdown. So if I would like one of these effects, but do I want the Dual Caster Mage that I can then feed to Korva and resurrect, get back out with Volrath Stronghold or something? Or do I want the Wild Ricochet? So this copies the spell, but it still goes off. It still goes off as intended. This says, fuck that. That spell goes off as I intend, and I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to do you dirty. So probably Wild Ricochet. Cavalier Flame. 2 triple red, which anytime I'm getting into 3 of 1 color pips in a multicolor deck, a 3-color deck, or higher, I could be getting into trouble with casting it. That's the border. Sometimes it's hard to cast, especially if I've got 1 less red land than I do green or black. But anyway, the reason this guy is interesting, so 2 triple red, 6/5 elemental knight. I could spend 1 in a red and give my creatures +1/+0 in haste. So he would be another way to give them haste. I do have to spend mana for it, but he also gives them +1/+0. When he comes into play, I can throw away any number of cards I want in my hand and then draw that many cards. So I can throw stuff away that I can't cast and hopefully draw something relevant. Then when it dies, it deals X damage to each opponent and all of their planeswalkers, where that's the number of lands. So one thing I noticed playing Korva, I tend to discard a lot of lands. And then once in a while he will eat a land because I won't have anything else that I want to feed him. So he'll just eat a land. So if I've got like 8 lands, then Korva can eat the Cavalier Flame. And then it'll die and do all that damage. So, thinking about that. Then Hellkite Charger. 6 for a 5/5 flying hasty dragon. Whenever he attacks, I can pay 7. If I do, untap all my attacking creatures. Not everybody. Aggravated Assault says, untap everybody. Go ahead. Have fun. This guy says, nah bro. You can only attack the motherfuckers that attacked. Quit being greedy. So I untap all attacking creatures, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So again, this guy would only give me 1 additional combat phase. No, if I can keep paying for it. So if I can keep paying for it, whenever it attacks, I can pay 7. So if I attack, I deal damage, and if I've got Nature's Will and I untap all my lands, then I can pay 7 again. Unless I have to pay that when he actually attacks. Yeah, I probably have to pay that when he actually attacks. After he's attacked, I need to look up the timing on that. There's probably some fine convention I'm not quite picking up. Hellkite Tyrant. 4 double red for a 6/5 flying trampling dragon. When he smacks into somebody, I get all their rocks, all their artifacts, all their toys and trinkets and robots and shit. All their sex toys. The beginning of the instep, beginning of my upkeep, beginning of the instep. Oh, if it's the beginning of the instep, that would be funny. Beginning of my upkeep. If this motherfucker's still alive, and I've got 20 more artifacts, I win the game. Just, boom, win the game. I've done that before once. It was funny. And then Goldspan Dragon. 5 for 4/4 flying hasty dragon. I'm sure a lot of you know what Goldspan Dragon is. He's pretty popular these days. Whenever he attacks, or becomes target of a spell, and it could be my spell, but I don't really have any spells to target him, I create a treasure token. Treasure control have tap, sacrifice artifact, add 2 mana of any color. And then I know I said I wasn't going to play with the lands, but if I put some of these in, I'm going to start pushing the overall CMC back up. And the deck is really, even right now, it's really starting to take off once I've got 5 or 6 lands. Once I've got 5 or 6 mana. Which is, used to be that was okay, but these days, with the speed of the game, with most people, the setup time, then this is something I've mentioned before, some of you might have heard me talk about setup time. It used to be, it was about 5 or 6 turns before people really started running their game plan. Before people's decks really started taking off. Nowadays, it's like turn 3 or 4. 2 turns faster. So Korva, if I start putting in more high cost things, I am pushing up my setup time. Unless I get exactly the right cards, exactly when I need them, which is usually not the case. Let's be fair. So if I put this Temple of False God in, when I have 5 lands, I'll have an additional mana. So on turn 5, I would be at 6, barring any rocks or anything else, rather than at 5. So thinking about that. Alright, so let's see what we're definitely going to take out. And I'm probably going to keep this in. Zone Orb, sacrifice land, you gain 2 life. This dude, when he dies, put a land card from graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. So I should probably keep the Crucible of Worlds. So if nothing else, what I can do is, if I get into a bind, I can keep eating a land, gaining 2 life, and then replaying the land, because I have Crucible of Worlds. And if I've got Looty Booty, I can play an additional land each turn. So I can play 1 from my hand. Well, let's check that. Let's take a look at that. Where is Crucible of Worlds? Crucible, you may play lands from your graveyard. You may play an additional land each turn. So if I have Crucible out, I can play 2 lands from my graveyard per turn. That sounds like a good deal. That sounds like something I want to do. So Crucible will stay. Alright, let's get to it. Let's see what I really want. So what I really want is Genesis. So I'm freer with my graveyard. Goldspan Dragon, he makes treasure tokens, and both these cost 5. What else do I really want? What else is going to be... Don't I already have a Dawn Treader Elk in the deck? No, I do not. So I probably need that so I can get more lands. And then loot, I'll keep exploration. Loot doubles up exploration, so I can play an additional land from him, or if I get both, then I can play 3 lands per turn. Not that I'm really going to have them, but I can do that if I need to. And then what? So, green permanents. He only lets me Phyrexian mana green permanents. So none of these artifacts. Savage Ventmaw, I can pay 5 and 2 life. Glissa, I can pay 1 black and 4 life. Sarkhan Vol, I can pay 2 a red and 2 life. I can pay 2. No, why the fuck would I pay any life for this guy? Fuck him. 4, 2 life, black and 2 life, which would surprise people. You know, if I only have 1 black open, they would not be expecting me to do this. No, it's a permanent. It doesn't count. Blame my last. It doesn't fucking count. 4, 2 life. 1 and 6 life. 3 and 1, 2 life. Same. 4. So, is that really going to help me? And am I really going to play enough green permanent spells? How often will this really trigger? Probably not that often. So we'll take him out, because he's probably not going to trigger, even though it's a small incremental advantage. You know, putting +2 counters on it's. There are other things I need in the deck. I need to smash people in the face. I need to smack them outside their nappy little heads. The Captivating Crew is probably pretty good, so I can steal people's creatures and feed them to Korvald. So there's green, red, green, red. Green, green, red, green, red, green. Green, 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 go. Alright, so it just lightning bolts a creature, so let's take out Blazing Effigy. if I put in, say, Goblin Bombardment, after I make those tokens with the Nekata War Pride, but then I'm steering him back to the sacrifice, which I'm not really leading it to. I'm really not leaning on that. I want to beat people. So, as good as this is, I don't think this deck needs it now. Maybe it will. Maybe I'll regret it and I'll say, Jesus Christ, I shouldn't take that out. What the fuck was I thinking? Kolrath Knight. He's kind of a control card. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create thralls. I don't know. So what else do I want to take out? Blade of Cells. Because if I'm smashing people enough in the head, it should be fine. This guy, he's really in there to trigger the Nature's Will. If I put in something else with Trample, that should trigger it. So that's 5 for 5. What about the rest? What about the rest? If I leave Douthie Embrace, then I don't have to put it there. I don't have to worry about Douthie Slayer. I can give any creature Shadow and then get its effect. And that was quite effective with Zeotar Envoy, so keep that. This guy, take him out in favor of something that punches people in the head. Maybe the Cavalier of Flame. Maybe make the deck more red. It's getting down to the wire. It's getting very difficult to make these changes now. Because I mean, this guy steals people's mana rocks, steals other artifacts, gives me an alternate win condition. This dude gives me additional combats. But if I don't have anything really worth attacking with, what's the point? So that's another tension. If I have too many, you get another combat, tap all your, well, if I only have 2 or 3 attackers, and they're not really getting through, then kind of pointless. I'd rather have big creatures. Same with giving my creatures haste, making these devils, and getting to the emblem. This guy, though, so he comes into play, throw away any, then draw them many cards. This guy is probably pretty good. Same with Wild Ricochet and Bear Umbra. Those are probably the ones I really want to look at, those 3. So if I take out Indrixar Nastabida, that's 6. That's 5. Let's see. Do I want something that helps me cast more stuff by untapping? Oh, the creature gets +2/+2. I forgot about that. Do I want a trick? Or do I want this guy that when it dies, so it hits my opponents and they're planeswalkers? Is that really that? I mean, if it hit their creatures, that would be really fucking cool. Plus the triple red, I have doubts about being able to cast that. Serious doubts. So let's put in a Wild Ricochet. I'll make these switches. I'll leave in the Fiend Artisan, Exploration, Defense of the Heart, Mirren of Clan Neltoth, the Squirrel, because it's an early creature, Tower Defense. So I'll leave those in. And see how it works. Hopefully it works pretty good.